Hello everyone, welcome back to Nick and Sergio's Fun Watch List. I am Nick.
I'm Sergio.
We are Nick and Sergio, the titular Nick and Sergio. And we're here today reviewing episode 5 of season 5 of Draga. This was a long episode.
I'm so exhausted.
Full of good things and then full of unnecessary weird things.
Very weird things. Sponsored ads.
Corporate
that took
propaganda.
a third of the episode.
Very weird.
Very weird.
The girls come in. Johnny Carmona is there, and he tells them that this week they are doing a new staple challenge of La Mas Draga, La Mas Famosa.
La Mas Famosa.
And
this is becoming the most favorite episode, I would think, in the franchise.
Yeah.
Which is the Snatch Game.
But for La Mas Draga.
For La Mas Draga, so in a Mexican way.
Yeah, and it's funny because last year they decided not to do the Snatch Game format as their parody. They were like, we're already doing the celebrity impersonation, so we'll do a different game show.
They did Family Feud.
And then a couple months after they did Family Feud, who else did Family Feud?
Who did Family Feud?
UK versus the world, remember?
Oh my god, you're so right. They stole the idea. Yes, UK versus the world stole the idea.
So Canada versus the world will maybe have a Weakest Link parody.
Maybe they don't have the rights in the US to do Family Feud, but in the UK they do.
I think...
Is that how it works?
No, I don't think that's how it works because they didn't call it Family Feud. They called it like Feud of the Families Snatch Game. Like you can get around it.
True. And for this, they did call it. No.
They called it...
year. I don't know what they called it.
Okay. Yeah, we have no idea. But an essential part of many drag competitions is the celebrity impersonation. And it sort of is best when it's inserted within like a game format. So that people who aren't as well versed in improv like know where their baseline should be. They're like, oh, I'm this character on a game show.
Yes.
That kind of helps them a little bit. But not for everyone. We go into this mini challenge. Where to start with this mini challenge? I don't want to spend too much time talking about this.
Can we just acknowledge that it happened and then just move on?
I would like that.
Because...
There's a certain ride-sharing app that we will not say the name of because we are not being compensated.
Yeah, we're not being compensated, and then honestly, fuck them. Like, they're a corporate.
Yeah, they suck.
Place, but in Mexico, I think ride-share is a big problem for queer people, and that has been very obvious all throughout Twitter, and people from the community saying that they've been kicked out of their car, they didn't get picked up, sometimes, like, all the way to harassment, and sometimes even fights. So... I have a horrible taste about this mini challenge.
It was so weird.
And the way that we're trying to be a savior. You know, so I think for this episode, we're just not even going to talk about the entirety of the mini challenge.
It was manipulative and
very manipulative and
strange.
Yeah. And it did not make any sense. It was already going to be a great episode just by Snatch Game. Like, whenever you have Snatch Game on Drag Race, you usually just have the reading challenge, and then it takes 2 seconds, and then you move on. You know, so I feel like they got a lot more this episode than they did last episode.
They got in their own way, for sure, because this would have been a 10 out of 10 episode without this 30-minute long mini challenge. I know that last week was a little different because the workroom was very short because they just wanted to show them making their garments and get into the runway for the critiques, but... They were at the runway 16 minutes in, and I looked over at you, and I was looking at the timestamp, and I was like, it's 20 minutes in, and they have not started the mini challenge.
Yeah, it was a lot. So
that's too long, even if it was a mini challenge I liked.
And I think the only thing that comes out of this that will play some sort of effect at the end of the episode is that a team gets additional points.
Yes, and it's hidden... And 2 other people.
It's Light King.
Light King, yeah.
Fifiesta and Hidden Mistake. I believe those are the 3.
Yeah, and they were pretty funny. I do think Uma was a little
I think
funnier.
Uma Kyle, killed.
She was the funniest one in that mini challenge.
Yeah, she was the best of that.
Queen of the mini challenge.
She deserved the +3.
Yeah. So this was all very weird. We'll move on to what we do like. The special guest judge, who helped Rogelio Suarez coach the girls in their characters. We should probably talk about that, right?
You're right.
Her name is Paola Gomez, and she does a similar impression to Rogelio, right? You were explaining this to me. They both.
Well, it's not a similar impression. So there is this very famous musical called
Mentiras.
Mentiras.
Right.
I only know the drag version now. So there's called Mentiras that has been like it's the longest musical that has happened in Mexico. It's been like more than 40 years or whatever. And recently they announced more Drags, which is the same musical but with drag queens. And Rogelio is actually one of those drag queens.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
And so they're basically, they play the same character.
Very cute.
Just in different musicals. But, well, the same musical but different
productions.
Versions.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, she's here. She coaches all of the girls. And they all seem to do really good.
I think so. I think a couple of them did better in these sort of rehearsal sections.
For sure.
Than they did in the actual challenge. And, you know, I don't know if that's butterflies or if that's they just didn't get the question they were anticipating. A lot of things can go wrong when you're in the moment.
Different when you're rehearsing because, like, Vital is not there. Yeah. And I think, like, that plays a lot into your confidence.
I think so.
You know, because I feel like they know Rogelio now, so they can, like, oh, I feel safe with you. But then once it's the judges, it's like, oh, they're actually like judging me because I might go home tonight. I think that changes the.
I mean, Uma's a perfect example. She came out and she was being very funny and
hilarious.
You know, I don't know the character well enough to say if the voice was all the way there, but it kind of didn't matter because she was being funny.
But the thing is, her jokes before, like during rehearsal, were so spot on, and then when she walked in onto the challenge, it was very different. So.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. I think, yeah, if she was a little more relaxed, then her natural charm would have been able to, like, make up for the lacking impersonation. But
who was that standout for you?
In the rehearsals?
Rehearsals.
In the rehearsals, I have to say my money was on Santa Lucia because, I mean, I'm an American. I'm watching this. I am just going off of some of this is... Oh, I know who that person is. Yes.
I know who that person is. Was that the only character you knew?
No, I knew Paulino Rubio, and I knew a couple of them. But when I hear Maria Felix as, like, a celebrity impersonation character to choose, I'm like, oh, that's perfect for a drag queen. Cause
that is perfect for
she has that old Hollywood, like, mystique about her, larger than life, kind of mean. Mean's funny if you're a drag queen. So I thought that was going to land better than it did, and I don't know, I didn't think she was bad on the challenge.
Okay.
How did you feel?
I mean, standouts for me was right away Pica Valderas.
always. But you're always right. She's always great.
She was a standout, obviously. And, you know, to do a singer...
Yeah.
And it's like things that happens in, like, RuPaul's Drag Race. It's like every time they do a singer, they suck because...
We don't necessarily know their personality.
Exactly. And with Carolina, I think, like... I thought that was going to be the storyline of, like, ooh, like, you really didn't hit for, like, everyone and the way she is and blah, blah, blah. But I think she pulled through and she was fantastic. So during the rehearsals, I was rooting for her. And then, obviously, I think Paper Cut...
Yeah, I mean, Paper's really just consistent.
And I think we've seen Paper Cut act like 7 different characters at this point, like for mini challenges and even in this episode, like the previous mini challenge.
In the mini challenge, Paper was playing a completely different character from these sort of other... Paper always has a character in their pocket. Always. Like, I appreciate that about him. He's doing a great job. And then this is the normal point of the episode where we would be going into the runway because we see Maca and we see Raquel and we see Yari and we see Leighton. They all look great. We say it every week. They look fabulous. Anything to say about these particular 4 garments? I mean,
Leighton, hello.
Leighton is in her cosplay era, but it's such elevated cosplay that I'm living for
like
it.
the way that nothing cracked during the entire episode. Like, I was waiting for that point where it was going to... Like,
it was just separate somewhere.
You could see Monet exchange notes, you know?
Yeah. But Yari looks very cute. I like this little queen, prince, knight look. I'm not really sure. It's like a British royalty kind of looking garment. And
Yeah.
Raquel just looks pretty as
Raquel's fucking stunning. Anything that you put on her.
Yeah. And I think we agree Maka's stylist kind of got their stuff together because I love this look. I love the material that the jacket's made out of. I love a pointy shoulder.
I like the textures. I like the pointy shoulder pad. She looks great. She looks stunning. She looks wonderful.
She looks walking. Hot. She looks like a hot...
Wait, I also did forget. I thought... So somebody did point out on Twitter that unlike every other host, she walks and talks. Like as soon as the doors open, she's already talking and like walking.
Whereas Roberto Carlo would like walk up to the front.
Strut the runway and then talk.
Well, she's a news person. Talking is what she does.
She's like, the weather is so bad ready to start here, a la más Draga, and there's so much wind, and she's like shaking, and there's so much wind. She's that type of newscaster.
I do love her. Maka, if there's anyone who's not enjoying your performance, I disagree with them. So, like I said, this would normally lead us into the runway, but because the runway is happening in conjunction with the main challenge, they come out as their character, and that is their runway look. Yeah. So a little different than some of the other challenges on this show.
I think that not most, but a lot of the challenges, the main challenge is the runway.
Yeah, so I think that's what's...
But in this one, it's different because they're a different character, but then they're like going into the runway, but then it's not a runway because they're the characters going to the challenge.
It's rare that the challenge takes place... It's rare. It's rare that the main challenge takes place on the runway and is also acting performance-based. Is that true? Can we agree on that?
Yes, because sometimes they do it in like a mini challenge. Your mini challenge is like acting, and it's like, well, shouldn't that be the main challenge? But then, so yes.
Okay, well, that's settled.
That's the weird production of La Más Draga.
But then we go into what's this game show called? It's a parody of The Weakest Link.
It's a parody of The Weakest Link called El Rival Más Débil.
So let's go character by character and talk about sort of the performances that were given. First up, we have Paper Cut, and she's playing a character named Doña Lucha. Is she playing a character or is she playing a performer?
She's playing a character.
Yes, which a couple of these girls do.
So there is this very famous novela that has gone for years, I feel like at this point, and they keep bringing it back and bringing it back and bringing it back. And it's called María de todos los Ángeles, I believe. She's one of the main characters because actually this lady plays two characters in that. So she plays the main lead, who's like a younger girl. And
then she really? Okay, that's cute.
And then she plays the mom of the guy that she's dating.
Very Kath and Kim energy.
Yeah, very.
Where the leads are playing multiple characters for no reason.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
And very kind of like sweet old lady vibes.
Very. I think very fitting for Paper... Or not that... No, I think just Paper Cut did a really good job.
Yeah, and I kind of love that the same way we get to see like Kennedy Davenport do a male character on Snatch Game, on Drag Race. We get to see our male presenting drag performer here do like a very funny female character. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I love that it's drag no matter what. It's cute.
Yeah. Overall, really good performance.
I loved it. Uma comes out next. She's playing a character. This one I do know. This one is the mom from La Familia Peluche, right?
Yes, La Familia Peluche.
And her name's Frederica. And
yes.
She's supposed to be kind of like airhead, vapid, like materialistic maybe. Is that right?
Yes, I think Federica Peluche would be best described as... diva girl. And there's always jokes that she's like selling stuff that he owns or that like to get money in order to buy things or that she's sleeping around with the plumber. Like there's always like jokes like that. And then her main energy is like no one's up to like her level of like, ugh, why are you like this? Like why why are you so dumb? It's like always her thing. No, that is not me.
So like we said...
but I do love that character.
Like we said, a little stronger in the rehearsal than on the stage.
Very strong in the rehearsal. I think once she came on stage, I don't know if it was because she didn't look like her and she didn't talk like her. Like it was harder.
I feel like she was really relying on the Venenitos being her...
Yeah, I mean that entry was
family.
Really, really cute and funny. She was the only one up to this point that did say which foundation she was participating for.
Oh.
And none of the other girls did, so points for you.
So everyone else didn't do the challenge, and Uma did, which is why she should have been safe.
Is the real winner of the entire season.
Greta White comes out next, and she's playing Luna Gil. This one I did not know at all.
She's a TikTok girl.
Yeah.
And she's always like, "Wah." And then like I've seen her TikToks before, and they're hilarious.
Yeah.
Because she just makes no sense, and she just has such a high pitched voice.
Sounds good for the internet.
Yeah, and besides that, I don't really know a lot of the isms of the character, and so I don't know. I mean, I liked her,
her energy was good. She managed to kind of change her mannerisms enough that I could tell it was a character.
So, but I don't know if it was over the surface, things that I knew and she was just doing, replicating instead of really knowing the character. Yeah. I don't know how to rate this character because I don't know the character very well.
Yeah. Well, we don't know about that character, but we do know about this next character. Light King comes out and is playing the one, the only, Cristina La Veneno, who...
Digo.
What's her other catchphrase that they were saying? Oh, the shark. I don't know the word for it.
El tiburón.
El
tiburón.
El tiburón. Oh my god, when Raquel started doing the Veneno accent back to Light King during critiques, that was kind of a highlight of the episode.
I mean, if you're going to do someone like La Veneno and you're going to do it in front of someone that's Spanish, as soon as Raquel just was like, I was like, girl, hot. That was amazing. Great, yeah. Like the accent, the personification, it was incredible. And I feel like Light King was a little bit on the... Like, I am glad...
Light King had the movements. I like the movements.
Yes, I'm glad that Light King finally was able to come out of that shell. And overall, the performance was great.
I thought it was good,
think that it was a little bit more relying on the similar tropes, just like Yadi said, of like, you're just saying the same things, we're not really pushing it for more.
Yeah, I think this was a safe performance that could have easily been a top if she was just a little bit further... realized.
I feel like Veneno, Cristina La Veneno would be a great character for, if you know how to do it, it would be great on any sort of snatch game.
Well, it was a snatch game on Canada 2 for Drag Race, and no offense to Miss Isis Couture, I think you're stunning, but I think this is at least the best drag competition Veneno impersonation. This is at least a couple marks better than Isis is, so good for you, Light King. Next to the stage, we have Liza Sansusi, and she's playing Tere la Secretaria.
Tere la Secretaria is a big character in the 90s to early 2000s. And I believe it's from a sketch. I was trying to remember exactly where, but I know her. And I think it's from a morning's... Is it a morning show?
It looks like a morning show based on her styling.
It's from a morning show. And she was the funny one of it. And everyone was more a little bit more serious. And she would come in for 2 seconds, 3 seconds and do her bit and then leave.
I mean, that's a perfect character to choose because it's very high energy.
Yeah, high energy. High. I feel like she played it too safe.
It is a safe choice, but isn't it smart to pick a safe choice?
I know it is smart for you to play a safe choice, but I feel like there's some other girls that went and picked somebody fully different than them. And the thing is, I really liked it. I really liked it, but I feel like I was just watching her on Xanax or something. You know?
Xanax?
Well, actually, that's a downer.
That's a downer.
Well, on whatever makes you higher.
We wouldn't know. Next up, we have Fifi Estek coming to the stage, playing a newscaster named Lolita Ayala.
Lolita Ayala is very famous newscast of the main national TV network in Mexico, number one. There's only 2 major ones that have monopoly over everything. I thought that she played it really good. I feel like she brought some of the funny moments where it's she choked on national TV.
Was that a famous moment?
That is a famous moment where she literally was choking. And then she just says, oh, it's gone. But in the way you say that in Spanish, the way it sounded was
Ya se fue?
Like,
did you say?
yes, if like, like it went away.
Yeah.
And so like it kind of referred like, that she was possessed for a second.
Oh, that's
so like
very
it,
funny.
like it became like a big thing in Mexico. And I think there's also like a very famous like interview that she did with someone, and she was pretending, or not pretending, but she, she's always been like very professional, but it was an English language interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like she choked up on her English, and it also just became like a meme.
I see.
I think it's her. I hope it's her because it was funny.
We'll cut it out if not.
Just leave it in.
And she's giving away her merch. That seemed like
that one. Maybe
choice.
that's more recent because I moved here when I was very young. So like maybe that happened after I moved here.
She's got merch recently, apparently. Santa Lucia comes out, and as we mentioned, she's doing the old Mexican cinema starlet, Maria Felix. And I think this, to me, is like doing Judy Garland or doing Angela Lansbury. No, who's the one from long ago? Who's Sunset Boulevard? Who is Sunset Boulevard? Tell me.
Sunset Boulevard, the movie.
Audrey Hepburn.
She's not in Sunset Boulevard.
Katharine Hepburn.
There.
Katharine Hepburn. Okay, so Maria Felix is definitely like the Katharine Hepburn of old Mexican cinema, would you say?
Like she's a very like icon in, the golden era of Mexico cinema, and she was a pioneer in terms of women getting better roles that did not depict them as weak.
Oh, so she's like Margot Robbie as well.
She's the Margot Robbie, I think, yes. The golden era of Mexican cinema. And, so she paved the way in so many ways for Mexican cinema. So when you play this character, you have to be very strong.
Yeah.
Because even up to her last, years alive, like she was always such a strong woman. Mm-hmm. And I remember I saw an interview of her recently where she was saying that she, so she would travel over the world. She lived mostly between Mexico and France, and she would record...
Like Lolita Banana.
Literally, would film movies in French. Lolita Cortez.
Lolita Banana from
Draga. Lolita Banana. I was like, what? You were confusing. Yes. And then there's this video where she's giving an interview, and she's saying that during one of her filmings, she actually ate human food. I mean, human meat. Like human flesh. Like she basically says she was a cannibalist for that moment. Because she had this friend... She had this... What? Well, I'm just repeating what the interview said, because she was saying that she had this friend who was so insane in mannerisms and ideologies, and she basically was giving this plate, and she didn't ask what it was until she had a bite out of it, and she was like, what is this? And then the guy was like, this is human flesh. And she does say that she couldn't really say anything about it because that friend was very particular, so I don't know what that means. Anyway, that was her story of eating human flesh.
And then, on that note, Peque Balderas comes out.
Well, we didn't talk about her...
That's just a lot to process, babe.
I know, but
I don't
but we didn't talk about Santa Lucia's performance.
It was good, I thought.
It was okay for me.
Did she mention the cannibalism? I don't remember her saying anything.
She should
have. That would have been funny.
She should have. Okay, overall, her performance was okay.
I thought it was funny, but yeah, it does seem like there was some missed opportunities.
There was so much more she could have done. That's all we need to say.
Yes. And then the aforementioned Peque Balderas comes out doing Paulina Rubio. I do have to admit, about 80% of my understanding of Paulina Rubio is from the drag queen playing Paulina Rubio on House of Flowers.
Not La Casa de las Flores.
Yeah, so I was kind of basing it off of that. That having been said, based on that interpretation and pictures and videos I've seen of Paulina, I thought the resemblance was there.
I mean, overall, 10 out of 10. She did really good.
She was always in character. Even when she wasn't moving.
And she did all of the Paulina Rubio things that she has done over the years. And in terms of body language, I think she was there the entire time. It was also funny to see, which you didn't introduce, the guest judge, who's in this episode is...
Oh my god, I'm such a mess. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Yeah, Edith.
So I can introduce the guest judge for this episode, which is Edith Marquez.
Yes.
And she has had already a big trajectory in her life, but she was actually in a band called Timbiriche when she was a little girl. And in that band, Paulina Rubio and Thalia, the three of them were in that band. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, you've told me a lot about this
I've
band.
told you
I didn't
about
know
this
who the
band,
third person was. It was this lady who was guest judge this week.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we're getting to see the third most memorable member of the band because there's like 7 of them.
Oh, there's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
So this is like having Michelle Williams on your drag competition to guest judge.
This is like...
the third most famous of a girl crew.
Yes. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
True. But it's like also funny because it's like they don't talk. Like Thalia and Paulina and
it's a full,
like they
I don't know her,
get
right?
along. Yeah, like there was so much shit that happened in their youth that they're like moved on at this time. So it's funny to see Edith like interacting with Paulina.
Yes.
And also like seeing Edith like do the impersonation of Paulina and Thalia. Oh.
Well, I saw her doing the impression of Thalia, and I didn't understand the significance of that moment.
That was a big significance. That's why everyone was like, "Girl," and she was like,
"I." You could hear a pin drop for like 2 minutes.
Everyone was
quiet,
listen, because it was hilarious how good on point it was, and it's like, well, she spent a lot of her fucking youth with them.
Yes, and I think overall great performance.
I think great performance because it wrapped up perfectly with the guest judge.
Yes.
So I think that Peke should have been the winner.
Oh, okay. Hot take. And last but not least, coming to the stage, we have Hidden Mistake. Performing as La Chilindrina?
La Chilindrina, which is from El Chavo del Ocho, which is
another character that...
It's another character.
Okay.
From...
It's funny
María
because...
Antonieta de las Nieves.
So for our Mas and Menos from the judges this week, we get a Mas for Paper Cut from Raquel. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Raquel's Menos is the lovely Miss Uma Kyle. Oh.
Sad.
Sad but fair, I suppose. Like, I agree with both of these.
Yes.
Yachty...
Well, no.
No, how do you feel then? No.
Well, because the thing is that the judges always pick a different top and a different bottom. Yeah. They never pick the same. And so I feel like, she had to pick this one. So although she went first, whatever. Next one.
Yachty only has a Mas this week. So that's the thing is it seems like they're allowed to cheat it sometimes.
I mean, it's not that they're cheating because we can still see the points.
Stars don't make sense.
The stars that they get, you voted for.
There must be so many unseen stars that are given out. That's why it's confusing.
She did vote for a Menos, and she's just not telling us who it is, which I find that disrespectful. It is.
Out of respect for Dela,
I
will not
exactly. This is not I need to look good. Everyone was great. No, you obviously did have to pick a bottom, so just show it to us.
Okay, fine, but if Leital gets to get away with not giving out a Mas when she's in a bad mood,
that's so annoying too. It's just don't show the points. Just talk about them and say who you like, but don't say this is my most. Just say I think during the performance, yes, they were not there, but yes, I really liked them. So they're I think overall they're doing great in the competition. And move on.
Okay, sure. But we do have one more Mas and Menos. Am I allowed to say it?
Yeah, say it.
Okay. Leital gives a Mas this week to...
Peke Valderas.
Leital does give a Mas this week to the amazing Peke Balderas and a Menos to Santa Lucia, which... I don't know. We discussed it. Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And so at the end, we find out that the bottom 2 of the week are Santa Lucia and Hidden Mistake. Do you agree?
I will recuse myself because I don't know enough about some of the cultural references that were made in this particular comedy challenge.
In even if you're lost in translation in terms of performances, do you agree that they should have been in the bottom?
If I'm going off of just vibe and sort of energy on stage, I agree. Lysa was kind of a scene stealer in a good way. She really commanded my attention. And I think in that same way, Hidden kind of failed to grab my attention. So I guess Hidden would be in the bottom for me. Uma, on the other hand, I think there was maybe enough there to like bring her up into safe. So that one I have a little bit harder of a time with. Well, she was safe. And that's what happened. Well, I was right. On accident. Because like you were saying, with the additional points that Hidden got, Uma goes into the lip sync with Santa Lucia instead of Hidden.
Yet again, another episode consecutively where something has to happen and the points don't matter.
It's like, whose line is it anyway?
It's like, why are you even giving them critiques if there's always going to be something that happens and it's going to land them in, land them in the bottom, but oh no, you're actually safe.
I just think that on other competition shows about drag, these, and I've already said this, so I apologize for repeating myself, these points are all happening behind the scenes and we just never see the numbers. Mm-hmm. To have these long conversations and pick them apart, which is why I'm like, just don't show the points.
No, don't say that, because then when you have all of those Instagram accounts that make like the points system,
those are fucking losers. Those are fucking losers.
I'm rating the queens.
Who makes fucking fan content for drag competitions? Losers. So our next, they go into the lip sync.
Who's being so hateful today?
No, I'm talking about official points. It is different, and you must agree.
Yeah, because official points do make a big difference.
Those fan points, they're choosing what gets the right amount of points.
But at the end of the day, this is a competition show that is being produced.
Yes.
And even with this, like, ups and downs, like, they're pulling through the people that they want. Because we did discuss a little bit about Fifi Esta last episode, and again in this episode.
Fifi does seem a little protected. Yeah.
She's being protected.
We go into a lip sync by the lovely Edith Marquez. It is a song called Mírame. I had not heard this song. I had not heard the song before.
No soy la misma.
You have a beautiful voice.
De antes.
You have a beautiful voice.
I forget the lyrics.
Is this an original song of hers, or is she doing a classic?
No, well, this is a classic of hers.
But is it, you know what I mean? Is it
if she's doing a cover of like... Good question. Because when they were lip syncing to it, I was like, I think I've heard this song.
It sounds familiar, right? Yeah.
But I was like, no, because I think it is Edith Marquez. She's the one that sings it.
Well, I will research it and find out. But I did really like this song.
Yeah.
It's a good lip sync song. Lots of emotion. Lots of
This is like an empowerment
energy.
song when you're like, look at me. I'm not the same as I was before. You know, so it's, and I think that is how this lip sync kind of played into, because during the lip sync we were talking about how Uma Kyle was trying to be more of the character she was playing for
Which
Snatch,
is
or
smart.
not Snatch Game, but for the Weakest Link.
Yeah.
And I feel like that hindered her because the song is not about that. The song is more like Maria Felix energy, which Santa Lucia was bringing to the stage. Can we acknowledge the fact that I feel like Santa Lucia is the underdog, and only because she got rid of the Sales Fab, which is my favorite, and then she's getting rid of another favorite of mine, Uma Kyle, who are the girls with the most personality next to Peque Valderas. Like, the three of them are the ones with the most personality this season.
Yeah.
And the fact that Santa Lucia has been beating them on lip syncs, it's saying something about Santa Lucia.
Santa Lucia is a real dark horse for the crown. Like, she could totally sneak in there and
She could take the crown after this lip sync, you know?
Oh, I mean, if she lip syncs like that at the finale, if she makes top 4, then I have no doubt that she could fully, like, pull a Rebel Mork and, like, take the crown from the perceived frontrunner.
Yeah, I think that could possibly happen.
Ooh, so okay, Santa. We've got our eye on you.
Yeah. Just don't get rid of Peque Valderas, Santa Lucia, because then...
You've broken our heart too many times.
I don't know how I feel then.
And yes, speaking of breaking our heart, Uma does finally succumb.
Sashay away.
You're the one saying all the ruisms.
Well, what should we say?
Uma, unfortunately,
Dies?
she doesn't. I guess she
They
dies.
die.
I guess she dies.
So she's dead.
So Uma is dead. She gives a lovely speech. It's very heartfelt. Santa literally puts her head on her shoulder at a certain point. It was very sweet. Almost made me
And then
cry.
she whispered, I would do it again.
And Edith, our guest judge, tells Uma that unfortunately she will be leaving us. Aww. We love Uma, and I'm glad that Uma got to be on this episode and really clap back at the fucking mini challenge.
I think Uma's karma, like, finally came back, and it's like, okay, now you were eliminated and then came back, and then you got, like, a special, like, immunity, and then you took it, and then you, like, created this mess, and then so they're like, now we're gonna have to deduct you 3 points, or, well, not really deduct you, but, you know, we're gonna have to take you out.
Yeah.
And they took her out.
And you know, it was her time. I really love her drag, but I just think we're getting to the point. They really cast some people who know how to put impeccable garments together. And while Uma was like overflowing with personality, I feel like her drag was more like personality than fully being aesthetically flawless.
It has been talked about on social media is that in the last episode, she actually made the corset. Like, she did not put things on the corset. She actually made it.
That's impressive.
Yes. But it was not enough for the judges. But, like, literally compared to other girls that were gluing on a corset, like, on a corset.
Yeah.
Like, she did it.
Wow. I was discounting you last week, Uma, but making a corset is not easy. Yeah. So, good for you.
So, you know, I think that maybe she just procrastinated and like didn't get ready in time. She looks like she would take her time to get ready. So, you know, we love you, Uma. You were literally the best of the season so far.
Yeah, and if you have like a podcast or something, I'll just listen to you talk for a while because you're very fun. So Uma turns into a bird. It's pretty sad. Yeah, it works either way, but yeah, I think that one's...
No, it's more this way because you're flying.
It looks prettier that way. So that's all. So that kind of brings our discussion of the episode to a close. But as always, we want to go over to the YouTube comments and shout out a couple of the people who left us messages. I just want to say in general, all of the messages, like whenever I log on, it's always just a bunch of positivities. So thank you for being so awesome. Everyone watching. Even if you're not commenting, just your views, they bring us life and they make us feel special. So thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, we have a comment from Mauricio Alvarez Picasso. And they write in and say, I love their couple dynamics. I assume referring to us, but they do go on to talk about the
when
twins.
I first read it, I thought it was about us, and then I was like, oh, thank you. But then I was like, oh, wait, no, he's referring to Catalina
and Isabella. Yeah. So what Mauricio goes on to say is, I think what happens with the twins is they did not take full advantage of the fact that they were two people. Mm-hmm. There was little proposal to even show us different but complementary outfits. Yeah. And I think they kind of got into that a little bit with the like symmetrical but asymmetrical potato chip, flaming potato chip kind, which I liked. I would have liked to see more of that.
Yeah, I can see how they're, but I think that they've been selling the idea that they're twins, and so they're just gonna push forward with the twins.
Yeah, and that's what Mauricio says. Sometimes if you do the same thing for a long time, no matter how beautiful it may be, and it was beautiful, it becomes boring and tires the viewer, and I think that happened to the judges.
That did happen to the judges.
Yeah, maybe next time if...
Although it would have been very interesting seeing them in this challenge, because they're two people. Like, what would have... Was it just one that was going to act, or like the two would have acted?
What if they were... Who are famous twins? They could be...
The ones that are, like, joined.
They should literally just be Mary-Kate and Ashley. They're American.
They could have... Well, they're American. So they could have done Mariana y Silvana.
See, them I don't know.
It's at peak time of Belinda. She's a big singer. She was playing two characters. Well, she was in elementary. Can you believe that?
Like, so they could have played Belinda, who was two characters, as
Mariana y Silvana.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, kind of like Parents Trap-esque. Not really, but...
Have they posted on their Instagram who they would have done? We'll research it.
We'll see if they do, but like that would have been incredible.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Ivan Pino writes in and says, I enjoyed so much this review, so calm and accurate. And I think that's what we strive to be, is both calm and accurate.
Especially very calm.
Yeah, we're very calm. Everybody knows that about us. Thank you, Ivan. And, wow, I didn't know she was a follower of ours. Nicki Minaj writes in and says, Light King. So thank you, Nicki. I'm fully a Barb. This
Am
is
I a
very
Nicki
exciting.
fan? Pull up in the Sri Lanka.
And finally, our last comment of the week comes from Victor Lopez. Victor says, hey, I loved your reaction to La Mas Draga 5 and will continue to see you. Kisses from Mexico. Besos back to you, Victor. And then Victor notes, by the way, Liza is not a favorite of the producers, as in fact, known between the lines. And I think what Victor is saying here is like the word behind the scenes.
Is that Liza's not a fan or a producer?
Not a producer favorite. Which is surprising because, you know, she's worked with... But she was working with Pepe Teo, not with them.
Well, maybe she's not the fan. She's not their favorite because they already know her, and they're like, "Well, we already know you. And
Yeah.
you're here, so."
But she got the fan vote, and maybe I don't know. Maybe the producers are like, "Well, we wanted to put you on a different season. Maybe not." I don't know. So this is an interesting theory. This is
what I have heard that, and I also have heard that the favorite of the producers is actually Santa Lucia.
Ooh, I mean, I wouldn't mind that if this ends up being Santa Lucia's season. I mean, even if there's a little pulling the strings behind the scenes, I think. I mean,
it's a reality TV show. It's
Gotta
so
pull the
produced, so. Love to everyone.
Oh, yes, love to everyone. Love to all the queens on the show. Whether you've been eliminated already or not, you are all so stunning. We wish we could be half as beautiful as you. Thank you to all the people watching at home. Sergio, do you have any words for our audience as we go off into the night?
I just want to know if you agree with who went home tonight. And if you agree with the points that were given. And if you think that they're going to give even more points next episode. So
just random points to everyone. Yeah. I hope.
Fan favorite to everyone. Fan favorite to everyone. Give it up.
Well, thank you so much for watching us this week. This has been very fun. We can't wait to do another recap for you next week for more La Mas Draga Season 5. I'm Nick.
I'm Sergio.
And that's all that we're watching this week.
Bye.
It's a new catchphrase. You like it? That's the list of what we're watching. We'll figure it out.
What are you gonna say?
Bye.